The throne room of Caldrith Prime stretched vast and cold, its walls carved from obsidian that drank the light of distant stars. Queen Verith sat upon her seat of power, silver scales gleaming like armor across her towering frame. Her 4 eyes swept across the assembly of clan leaders who had gathered before her, their expressions ranging from defiant to desperate. "You waste my time," Verith said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. The answer remains no. Elder Torvin, representative of the northern clans, stepped forward. His crest flared in frustration. "Your Majesty, the Devourers advance across 3 systems. They consume everything in their path. If we do not stand together, then we fall separately." Varath's claws tapped against the armrest. "As we have always done. As we always will. I did not claw my way to this throne to surrender my sovereignty to some desperate alliance." The chamber erupted in protests, but Verith silenced them with a raised hand. She had heard these arguments 1,000 times. Unity required trust, and trust was a luxury her people had abandoned long ago. The Caldrith had survived for millennia through strength and isolation, not through the weakness of cooperation. "This council is dismissed," she declared. The clan leaders filed out, their disappointment palpable. Verith watched them go, her expression unreadable. She had made her decision long ago, on the day she watched her predecessor fall because he trusted the wrong ally. Never again would she make such a mistake. "My queen," her advisor Kelleran approached cautiously. "There is one more visitor. A human. He claims to carry an urgent message." Varath's third eye narrowed. Humans were curiosities in this sector, their small empire barely a century old. "Send him away. He says he fought at the siege of Hollow Gate." That caught her attention. The siege of Hollow Gate had become legend even among the Caldrith. A human colony, outnumbered 1,000 to 1, had held against a Devourer fleet for 3 months. Most dismissed it as exaggeration. Verith was not most. "Very well. Send him in." The human who entered was unremarkable by his species' standards. Average height, wearing a worn military jacket over simple clothes. His hair was dark, cut short, and a scar traced down the left side of his face. But his eyes, those eyes held something that made even Verith pause. They carried the weight of someone who had stared into the abyss and walked away. "Your Majesty," he said, offering a respectful bow. "My name is Marcus Cole, Captain, Earth Defense Forces, retired." "You are far from home, Captain Cole." "That I am." Marcus straightened. "I've come because I heard you are the only leader in this sector with the spine to tell the truth. That unity is a fantasy." Varath's crest lifted slightly. "An unusual message for a messenger. I'm not here to convince you otherwise." Marcus stepped closer, his movements measured. "I'm here because I thought you deserved to know what's coming. The Devourers aren't just another threat. They're the end of everything. And when they arrive at Caldrith Prime, no amount of personal strength will matter." Bold words for someone who barely understands our culture. Maybe. Marcus met her gaze without flinching. "But I understand war. I understand what it looks like when everyone thinks they can survive alone, right up until they can't. I watched it happen at Hollow Gate." Verith leaned forward. "Yet your colony survived. The legends say the legends are wrong." Marcus's voice went flat. "We didn't survive because we were strong. We survived because we were too stubborn to know when to quit, and because one cruiser captain from the Valyrian Empire decided our deaths mattered more than his orders. He broke formation to cover our evacuation, lost his ship and his crew doing it." The Queen studied him in silence. Why would he do such a thing? I asked him that in the 3 minutes we had before his ship went down. Marcus's jaw tightened. He said that sometimes the rules that keep you safe are the same rules that make you not worth saving. That survival without honor is just slow death. Philosophy. Vareth waved a dismissive hand. Easy to speak of honor when facing death. You're right. Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a data chip. So let me show you something practical instead. Battle logs from the Devourer attacks over the past year. Not the sanitized reports everyone shares, the real ones. Every world they've hit, every defense that failed, and why. Vareth took the chip, her claws delicate despite their size. And what do you expect me to see? Patterns. The Devourers don't just attack randomly. They isolate systems, cut off communications, turn neighbors into strangers. Then they strike at each target one by one. Individually, even your fleet couldn't hold them for more than a week. Together, he paused. Together, there's a chance. A chance. Vareth inserted the chip into her throne's console. Data flooded across holographic displays. Colony after colony, each one falling in isolation. You assume I fear death, Captain. No, Marcus said quietly. I assume you fear irrelevance. You didn't fight your way to that throne just to be a footnote in someone else's history. The queen who was too proud to adapt, too strong to survive. The Wrath's eyes snapped to him, 3 of them blazing with anger. The 4th remained cool, analytical. You dare. I do. Because in about 6 weeks, a Devourer Vanguard fleet will enter this system. They'll destroy your orbital stations, then begin bombardment of your colonies. Your fleet will fight brilliantly, destroy maybe a third of them. Then you'll die. Your people will die. And the Devourers will move on to the next isolated system. You seem certain. I've seen it before. Marcus's voice carried the weight of truth. 17 times now? Always the same pattern. Always the same result. Vareth stood, her full height towering over the human. And what makes you think this time would be different? Because you're still listening. Marcus held his ground. Every other leader I visited either threw me out immediately or wasted time pretending they'd consider it while doing nothing. You're actually engaging with the question. That tells me something. It tells you I'm curious. What a human thinks he knows about. Leadership. Maybe. Or maybe it tells you that you're tired of pretending strength and isolation are the same thing. Marcus gestured to the data still flowing across the displays. Look at Colony 12. They had the strongest fleet in their sector. Fell in 4 days. Colony 19 had half the firepower, but coordinated with 3 neighboring systems. Held for 6 weeks and evacuated 70% of their population. Vareth studied the numbers. Her analytical mind, the one that had plotted her rise to power through decades of careful strategy, saw what Marcus was showing her. The pattern was undeniable. Coordination requires trust, she said finally. Trust is a weapon aimed at your own heart. Sometimes, Marcus agreed. But isolation is a weapon aimed at your own head, and that triggers on a timer. The queen returned to her throne, her massive frame settling with the grace of a predator. Tell me about Hollow Gate, the truth. Marcus took a breath. We had 2,000 soldiers and 15,000 civilians. The Devourers brought enough firepower to glass the planet. We should have evacuated immediately, but we couldn't. The transport ships needed 48 hours to arrive. So we held. How? Badly. A ghost of a smile crossed Marcus's face. We fought like cornered animals, because that's what we were. Every trick, every desperate tactic, every ounce of ammunition we could throw at them. We lost ground constantly. By the time the Valyrian cruiser arrived, we were down to our last bunker and about 300 soldiers. Yet you prevailed. We survived. There's a difference. Marcus met her gaze again. The Valyrian captain. His name was Rothus. He didn't save us because of some grand alliance. He saved us because when he looked at our battle logs, he saw people fighting for something more than just themselves. He said we reminded him why honor mattered. Vareth was silent for a long moment. Around them, the throne rooms. Ancient stones seemed to listen. You are asking me to abandon everything I built my reign upon, she said. Finally, no. I'm asking you to build something bigger. Marcus stepped forward. Your strength, your tactical brilliance, your refusal to bow, those things don't disappear in alliance. They become the foundation. Other leaders respect strength. They just need to see it applied toward something more than survival. The queen's claws tapped against her throne again, a rhythm that echoed through the chamber. If I agree to this council, to this alliance, I will be seen as weak. My rivals will move against me. If you don't, you'll be dead. And so will your rivals. Marcus's voice softened. You're not weak, Your Majesty. You're smart enough to know the difference between strength and stubbornness. That's rare. Vareth stood again, walking to the massive windows that overlooked her capital city. Millions of Cauldrith moved through the streets below, unaware that their queen wrestled with the weight of their future. The Valyrian captain, she said without turning. When his ship was dying, did he regret his choice? I asked him that too. Marcus joined her at the window. He said regret was for people who had time to waste. He spent his last moments making sure our transport coordinates were clear. The Queen's reflection in the dark glass showed something Marcus hadn't seen before. Not doubt, not fear, but the careful consideration of someone reassessing everything they thought they knew. 6 weeks. You said, give or take a few days. Then we have much work to do. Vareth turned to face him fully. Summon the clan leaders. Tay,